Danger, Will Robinson, danger! This vlog contains spoilers for Avengers Age of Ultron! Hi everyone, welcome back to Comic Book Issues, and it's time for another one of our movie vlogs. I've just seen Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, and let's get right into it. First, we'll break down the cast. There was Captain America, played by Chris Evans, and he was fine. He did his usual competent job, but honestly, I felt like none of the three big stars had anything new to bring at this point, with one exception, which I'll get to. Honestly, The Winter Soldier, his second movie, felt like the best sequel to the Avengers of the three solo films, and I would have liked to have seen how he went from being in the cold with the Falcon, tracking down the Winter Soldier, to once again being a member of the Avengers team. It really felt like the Avengers never stopped being the Avengers between movies. It seemed like they'd been working together, and that's not the feel I got from the three solo films, Dark World, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man 3. It just seems to be that way. It seems like they never stopped working together, even though he had gone underground to track down the Winter Soldier. And they do mention that in the film, that they were still looking for him, but it was just kind of a non-factor in the plot of this movie. And then there's Thor, played by Chris Hemsworth. They used him to advance the whole plot of the Magic Stones actually being the Infinity Gems, which he had to do to get ready for the Infinity Gauntlet in a year or two. I'm not sure exactly when it comes out. But it didn't feel like he had much going on. Jane wasn't there this time. There's no mention of his family. He was just there to throw his hammer around and beat up some bad guys. They did do the brief thing with him and Eric going into that pool so he could have his big vision, or he could understand what the Scarlet Witch's mind powers did to him. And yeah, that was there, but honestly, that was such a small part of the movie. It just felt like he was there to bust things up. And Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr., of the three, was the one who had some real plot going on. He was still dealing with the PTSD from Iron Man 3, actually from Avengers, which led into Iron Man 3, which leads into Avengers Age of Ultron. He's still got this big fear of an alien invasion, of the Earth being destroyed by all these great cosmic powers out there. So he wants to defend it. That's where the Ultron idea comes from. And that kind of arrogance and this desire, this need to protect everyone, leads into Ultron. But ultimately, he doesn't seem to learn from himself as he repeats the mistake a second time in the movie with the Vision, only this time it works out okay. I would have liked to have seen him learn a bit of a lesson. I mean, at the end, it just seemed like he was burned down and just wanted to go hide from the world. At the end, when he says he's going to build Pepper a farm, you know, just seems like he was retreating from himself, like he'd had enough. But nobody really held him responsible. They choked him a little bit and, called him names or got in fights with him. He and Captain America were butting heads, and I'm sure that'll lead into Civil War. But yeah, it felt like of the big three Avengers, Iron Man was the only one who really had some meat to his character this time around. Which I can understand, since Iron Man doesn't have any more solo films coming up, but Captain America and Thor do, so they might be saving plot developments for those characters for their solo films. The Hulk, played by Mark Ruffalo, was one of my favorite surprises from the last film, because invested as I was in Edward Norton's character in The Incredible Hulk, and then they replaced him, I was really pleased with his performance. I thought he did a great job in the first Avengers. This one, it seemed like he was just going through the motions. He's kind of like a puppy dog. He's following around Tony Stark and getting talked into doing things that he knows are bad. I mean, he has no kind of character of his own. He doesn't stand up for himself. And maybe that's the whole idea, that Banner's the meek one and the Hulk's the big, aggressive one, but the Hulk doesn't talk in this one at all. He's just kind of grunting a lot and getting mad and hurting things. I will say that the Hulk versus Hulkbuster fight does not disappoint. It is probably the best action scene in the whole movie. That was my favorite part of the trailer. The little kid in me just went, eee! When I saw that Hulkbuster armor, and it does not disappoint. That's worth the price of admission alone. But on top of that, where did this whole romance with Natasha come from? There was no hint at that in the first movie. There was no mention of Bruce in Winter Soldier when Natasha was going around in that. And then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, there's this guy I like, and he's not like the others. And, huh? What? And I did like the scene how Natasha and Bruce kind of connected on the farm. And Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson did a good job. This is her fourth time around as the Black Widow, and I think she had a meteor role in the first Avengers, and she had some good stuff in Captain America 2. This one is just kind of like, again, there's this kind of romance out of nowhere that I don't really know that it worked for the characters. It didn't do anything for me particularly. Maybe you felt differently. I did like the whole connection on the farm. I would have liked to have known how they developed that whole lullaby thing. She kept saying the sun is going down, and then she'd hold her hand up, and then he'd kind of... Ugh. They never really got into that, did they? I don't remember anything from the movie about that. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but it just seemed... There was a lot of backstory between Banner and Natasha that just got glossed over. Hawkeye, played by Jeremy Renner, he did a great job in the last movie, and he does a great job in this movie. He's got the best character overall in the two films. Now they do a 180 and say, oh look, he's got a family, just showing them he was living on this farm, he has a wife, kids, and he's just like going saving the world with his bow and arrows, just his day job. At the end of the day, he comes back and takes care of his family on this farm. That's actually out of the Ultimates. In Ultimates, Hawkeye had a family. So I really like that they went that route with Hawkeye instead of just like the lone lover boy that we know from the Avengers comic books in a solo title and from the other various portrayals. I like that they went with that version. This is the family man, but they need him, not for the bow and arrow, but because he's acting like the team's leader. Not giving orders, that's still Captain America, but he is the one who rallies them. He's kind of the morality, the moral compass of the team. He's the one who sees they're broken, sees they need to be built up, and tries to do what he can to rally them. But at the end of the day, he just wants to be with his family. He's the 9-to-5 superhero. I kind of like that. I really like that. Nick Fury, what can I say? The man has a contract. It didn't really seem like we needed him for this. Couldn't Maria Hill just have brought in a Stark refurbished helicarrier to save the day? Did we really need Nick Fury for this? Okay, Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen. They were pretty good. I like that they had their European accents, you know, that they were obviously non-American superheroes. I do think that X-Men Days of Future Past had the better Quicksilver. I can't remember the actor's name in that. I apologize. It'll appear right here. But he came off as arrogant and dismissive, and that's what I think of when I think of Pietro. Everyone's moving much, much, much slower than him, and that annoys the hell out of him, and it makes him this arrogant character. Here, he was just kind of pissed off, but he had a reason to be pissed off, so it wasn't really about his powers affecting his outlook on life. He just got his powers at the end of Captain America 2 and the start of this movie. The X-Men, Quicksilver felt a little more organically annoying. This one just seemed bitter because he'd had a bad life. And sure, that works to an extent, but it's not really what Quicksilver is about in my mind. As for the story of the whole bomb thing, yes, it gives them backstory. Yes, it makes you understand why they're bitter, but it doesn't really make you empathize with them. I would have shown that as a prologue. Show these two twins trapped with this bomb for 2 days, you know, just time jumping ahead until they're finally pulled out, until they're finally rescued, and then just pull back and see the bomb says Stark. That's it. Suddenly you empathize with them. Suddenly Stark's a jerk again. Suddenly you feel so bad for these kids, and you understand why they're doing the terrible things they do. We didn't really bond with the twins as much as I would have liked to in this movie. They kept hinting that one of the Avengers was going to die, hitting us over our collective heads with that giant shovel. Yeah, one of the Avengers is going to die. And they make you think it's Hawkeye because he's got the most to lose. He's got the peaceful family life. His wife's worried that he's not going to come back one day, so they really red herring him up for us. But then it's Quicksilver who dies, so we're not going to see him again, I guess. Maybe that's because of the whole X-Men lawsuit, who gets this character thing. The X-Men Quicksilver will be back in X-Men Apocalypse, so we'll see him there. But he did die in this film, and then you cut to the Scarlet Witch raging, and admit it, when she was freaking out, you wanted her to say, "No more mutants." That would have explained everything. Why the X-Men are part of this universe. I know it would have made sense for the movie, but damn it, I wanted it. The whole Scarlet Witch thing, they got rid of the chaos magic and just made her telekinetic and has this telepathy, so she's a different character from the comics. Elizabeth Olsen did fine. I like the costume at the end. There's a ways to go with the Scarlet Witch. There's a lot of room for character growth there. The Vision. Let's talk about Paul Bettany, who for 3-4 films has just voiced Jarvis. And they have a great scene where the Jarvis program interacts with the Ultron program at the beginning. The Vision is the breakout character of this film. The best non-action scene in the movie was the final confrontation between Ultron and the Vision, where they both discuss humanity, and Ultron says, you know, they're doomed. And there's just a moment where the Vision thinks and goes, yes. But they both then give their reasons why they want. One wants to protect humanity, why the other wants to destroy it. One hates humanity, the other admires it, you know. That's the best scene in the film, and the Vision is a great character. As funny as that hammer scene is, we all laughed at it in the trailers, then, it's a setup to show what the Vision is capable of. He lifts that hammer after no one else but Thor could lift it. He lifts it, and that tells you all you need to know about him. Instantly, you know you can trust him. Instantly, you know he's a good guy. I would have loved a Beta Ray Bill moment where he maybe gets the hat with the wings on it, but, you know, some lightning comes crashing down, but no. But the Vision was ultimately funny, he was wise, he was gentle, and I think he's a great character. He's the breakout character of this film. Now let's talk about Ultron, and this was unfortunately my big problem with the film, and I got torn to pieces for saying something was just okay, and that was Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm going to say it again here, and I hope you'll let me explain, but Ultron was just okay. Ultron was Robot Loki. He wasn't his own character. Joss Whedon doesn't know how to do the menacing villain. He doesn't know how to do a villain who's just scary, and that's what Ultron should be. In all the comics, that's what he is. He's the robot genius. He's 8 moves ahead of you, 10, 12 moves ahead of you, and you just have to think outside the box is the only way to defeat him. And then every time he's going to come back smarter, better, more advanced. And they did that in the movie. He upgrades his body a couple of times. There's that scene where he's trying to apologize. Well, you know, in retrospect, maybe I wasn't, and they hit him and he goes flying. Isn't that just the same scene with the Hulk and Loki and the Avengers? I am a god and bam, 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 beauty god. You know, I mean, Ultron was just another cool, sarcastic villain. And don't get me wrong, it's a great performance by James Spader. It's just the same performance we saw from Loki in the first film, and it's not really true to the comic book version of Ultron. And I'm going to get torn to pieces for that, I know that, but I have a long history in comic books. That's what I bring to these vlogs, my history of comics. Joss Whedon is a great writer, and he writes very clever, witty, urbane villains, but Ultron should have just been, I'm going to destroy you, and that really is all we needed from him. And why not just bring Loki back if that's the kind of villain you want? Please, no jokes from Thanos. Please, let him be scary. He needs to be scary. As for the supporting cast, I mean, Haley Atwell and Idris Elba, did we need them? They were gone in and out so quickly, but honestly, Haley Atwell, I just met Haley at C2E2, beautiful lady. Idris Elba, I love him on Luther. They weren't necessary for this film. The cameos were so brief, it seemed like they were just sticking a familiar face in there for audience recognition. Stanley had a great cameo. I love that at the party with all the young people, Cap brings a bunch of his World War II veteran buddies. And he has that great thing where he drinks the oars like, Excelsior! You know, you can always have a great cameo by Stan Lee. Maria Hill, she kind of fills the Pepper Potts role in this film. She's Iron Man's sidekick, running things behind the scenes while he's out there. Kobe Smulders, again, did a good job. Filled a necessary supporting role in this film. There was the one Asian scientist, I can't remember the actress's name. Seemed like, you know, we had 2 brilliant scientists already. Did we really need a third? But I guess they wanted someone they could brainwash and throw away. I apologize for forgetting the actress's name. It'll appear right here. Yeah, a lot of the supporting cast seemed unnecessary. Stellan Skarsgård played his role with helping Thor discover the truth about the Infinity Gems. But again, did we need him? Couldn't Thor just have gone to Asgard, come back with this artifact and gone into the pool and had his visions restored? Did we need the human to tell the Asgardian where the Asgardian mystic pool was? And Don Cheadle and Anthony Mackie, they were fine. I almost would have preferred they had more to do in the movie, but it was a kind of a big cast of superheroes already. So they just show up at the party, and then they're there at the end fighting with the rest of the Avengers. I would have given them more to do. The brothers kind of got shafted on screen time in this film. Linda Cardinelli I liked very much as Hawkeye's wife. I thought she did a great job there. She's supportive of him. She understands why they need him. She especially understands why the Avengers need him, but she's just got that fear that any spouse of someone in the military or service position has, that someday you're not going to come back. And her performance in that aspect was so understated. It was really excellent. And then there was the Claw. I'll get you, Gadget. No, not Dr. Claw, Ulysses Claw. I liked how they introduced Wakanda, so that'll lead into the Black Panther movie. And they introduced Ulysses Claw, who might be the villain for that film. And Andy Serkis did a great job. He's a master of accents. The man's a chameleon. He just disappears under makeup, CGI, whatever, to become whatever you need him to be. Every movie you should cast Andy Serkis in some role because he's just that good. He does a great job as this wicked South African arms dealer. And we had our Star Wars moment. He gets his arm chopped off. We'll see if he comes back with a sonar dish on one end and refusing to see the Fantastic Four movie. He's a Fantastic Four character. I mean, I know he showed up in Daredevil recently and some other comics, but, you know, he is a Fantastic Four character. I'm surprised they got to use him. Overall, I like this film. It had some very clever moments, but a lot of the main cast just were spinning their wheels. There were some plots that didn't fit from the previous movies that seemed shoehorned in. Here's the big thing. I like this movie. Everyone should see this movie. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I'm trying to protect myself from another Guardians of the Galaxy backlash. But it's more or less the same movie that we had from the first Avengers. Team comes together. Bad guy shows up. They start fighting and they don't get along and they fall apart. Then they rally and defeat the bad guy. The movie is fun, it's entertaining, but it's pretty much the same thing all over again, just with a bright, shiny new villain. What I did like at the end of the film was how the old team goes their separate ways. Hawkeye quits, Thor quits, Iron Man quits, the Hulk flies away in a stealth ship. I'm not sure how that works. And then you've got the new team of Avengers coming in under Captain America and the Black Widow. Vision, Scarlet Witch, War Machine, Falcon. So you've got this new team of Avengers. That's very true to the comic, how half the team would quit and then a whole bunch of new guys would come in and you'd form a new team. That said, I'm sure they'll all be back in time for Infinity Gauntlet and we'll have the super big Avengers team taking on Thanos. Please, no jokes, please, no jokes. I liked Avengers Age of Ultron. Go see it, you'll have a good time. The Vision's a breakout character. That said, don't expect them to reinvent the wheel. It's pretty much the same story we got the first time around. Well, that's it for this vlog. The next vlog will be for Ant-Man. I'll see you then. This is Comic Book Issues, and I'm your host, The Last Angry Geek.